Hello, everyone. Okay, so let's talk about logical operator precedence. All right, so just like the other arithmetic operators have precedence, the logical operators also have precedence, right? So I'm going to use a comment over here to write them down. Starting with the exclamation sign, which is the not operator, that has the highest precedence. The next is the and operator, which has the next highest precedence. And then last is the or logical operator, which is two pipes. These are comments, so ignore them. All right, so let me use this as an example so we have a better sense of it. I'm going to create an int variable and I'm going to call it age, and I'm going to give it a value, initialize it to, let's say, 18, and then terminate it. I'm also going to go ahead and create a Boolean variable, and I'm going to call it isAdult. IsAdult is going to signify when someone is an adult in our program, when someone has turned an adult, or when someone is not an adult, something like that. Initially, we are going to set it to true. So IsAdult is set to true. The only time we change IsAdult is when we found out that someone is not an adult, or when someone is not an adult, right? So I'm going to use an if statement and create a Boolean expression, something like this. I'm going to say that if I want to say this, we want to create an example and say, if the age is not greater than or equal to 18, right? If it's not 18 or above, then change IsAdult from true to false. Change IsAdult to false. That means that person is not an adult. If the age is not 18 or more, change IsAdult to false. We are assuming that 18 or more is an adult, and anything below 18 is a child. And so the way we write if age is not greater than or equal to 18. First of all, this is how we write if age is equal to, First of all, this is how we write if age is greater than or equal to 18. That's how we write it this way. Age is greater than or equal to 18. The way we will write if age is not greater than or equal to 18 is with the not operator. We place the not operator around this entire expression. And so because this is an entire expression, entire Boolean expression, which can result in true or false, I'm going to surround it with parentheses. And then I'm going to place the not operator in front of it. So now this reads not age not greater than or equal to 18. You can also read it this way, not age greater than or equal to 18. But what it really means is this. If age is not greater than or equal to 18, right? If the age is not 18 or more, then that person is not an adult. Already we've set IsAdult to true. So now if the person's age is not greater than or equal to 18, let's go ahead and change IsAdult to false. All right. So when the program starts, if the person's age is not, IsAdult will stay true. But if the person's age is not greater than or equal to 18, we'll change IsAdult to false. Guess what? If the person's age is 18 or above, this won't be true. This will only be true if the person's age is not greater than or equal to 18. And so in that case, IsAdult will stay true. Let's go ahead and create a system.out.println statement. That is going to print out the content of IsAdult, whether it's true or false. All right, so we've set age to 18. Let's compile this. We know that this should be true, right? Because anyone who is 18 or above is an adult. Anyone who is not 18, anyone who is below 18 is a child. Compile this, run, and we see true, which means that this age 18 is an adult age. Let's change this to, let's say, 13. Compile this. It's going to check and say if age is not greater than or equal to 18, change IsAdult to false, because initially IsAdult is set to true. So because 13 won't be greater than or equal to 18, IsAdult is going to be changed to false. So when we run the program and it prints out the content of IsAdult, we should expect false. When I run it, we see false over here. All right, so one very important thing. We surrounded this Boolean expression with parentheses because, first of all, it's an expression, right? It's acting together. It's one entire expression. Sometimes you may attempt to do something like this without parentheses. You may attempt to do something like this, thinking it's the same, right? You may attempt to do something like that, thinking it's the same. When you do this, you are only applying the not operator to the age variable. Now, the not operator can only be applied to Boolean variables or Boolean expressions, a variable that contains either true or false, or an expression that can result to true or false. Now, because you can't apply the not operator to an integer, age is an integer over here, Okay, you can't apply a not operator to the age variable. Just it has to be a Boolean variable or a Boolean expression. So this will result in an error. When I compile this program, I get an error instantly, and it highlights the line. And over here it tells me operator not, this exclamation sign, which is a not operator, cannot be applied to an int, right? It can only be applied to a Boolean variable or a Boolean expression. That's why we surround it with parentheses. So just be careful you don't make this mistake. All right, so let's fix it. I'm going to undo it, put the parentheses back. I think this is correct. Compile, and you're fine. All right, so let's talk about something else. All right. I'm going to create another Boolean variable, okay, and I'm going to call it result. Now, this result variable can only store the value true or false, right? Because it's a Boolean type. And so I'm going to initialize it with a value. I'm going to initialize it with an expression that can result to either true or false, right? And so the expression will be something like that. I'm going to use the AND logical operator to do that. So I'm going to do something like this: 2 greater than 3, and then terminate it. So it's first of all going to evaluate this, and it's going to result to either true or false, and store it in result. I'm going to go ahead and create a system.out.println statement. So let's see, 2 greater than 3. 2 is not greater than 3, so false will be stored in result. Let's print out what's stored in result. Compile this, run, and we see false because 2 is not greater than 3. All right. This can also, if you want to be safe, you can also surround it with parentheses, right? It's the same thing. Since it's just one simple expression, you don't have to, but if you have multiple expressions, which we are going to see in a second, it can be essential. So it's just same thing. When I compile it, I should see same false. It doesn't hurt. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and make this expression even longer. I'm going to say 2 greater than 3 and 4, and I'm just coming up with random numbers here. 4 less than 6. Again, this is where it can be helpful to use parentheses, right? You don't have to if you have just one operator here, because that's all it's going to be dealing with. You don't have to, but I always surround my Boolean expressions with parentheses just to keep things organized and just to be safe when you're dealing with the order of operation or the operator precedence. Any operator that has precedence, I normally kind of surround the expressions with parentheses. So I do something like this. We know with the AND logical operator, if any of the expressions is false, if this is false, or this is false, or both of them are false, then the entire expression becomes false. The only time the entire expression becomes true is when both expressions are true. So let's see. 2 greater than 3 is false. So it wouldn't even waste time to go and check it at the rest. Remember, with the AND logical operator, if any of the expressions, let's say, is false, the entire expression becomes false. So in this case, we know since this is false, false will be stored in result. Compile this and run. You can see false is here. All right, let's do an example with the OR logical operator. Let's change this to the OR logical operator. We know the OR logical operator, when any of the expressions is true, the entire expression is true. So when this is true, or this is true, or when both of them are true, the entire expression becomes true. The only time the entire expression becomes false is when both of them are false. Okay, so let's see. 2 greater than 3 is false because 2 is not greater than 3, right? But let's check this to see if it's true, because with the OR logical operator, if there's at least one true statement, then the entire expression becomes true. So let's check this. 4 is less than 6. That is true. Now, because we have a true statement, we have a true result here and a false result here. With the OR logical operator, if you have at least one true statement, the entire expression becomes true. And so when we compile this and we run its result will hold true. All right. Now, when you have an expression like this, or when you have an expression like what we had before with the AND logical operator, these expressions are evaluated from left to right. Okay, when you have the OR logical operator as well, you're evaluated from left to right. When you have something simple like this with one operator, basically one logical operator, they are evaluated from left to right. All right. Let's make it even complex a little bit. I'm going to add the AND logical operator to this and add another entire expression. Let's see, 5 is equal to 6. Again, I want to surround it with parentheses here just to keep the things organized and be safe. All right, so you can do something like this. Now this is where operator precedence becomes very important, right? Because now we have the OR logical operator and we have the AND logical operator. Which one is going to be evaluated first? Because the AND logical operator has a higher precedence than the OR logical operator, the two expressions around or on the left and right of the AND logical operator will be evaluated first. And so this entire expression will be evaluated first before anything else. So let's see. 4 is less than 6 is true, right? We know with the AND logical operator, when any of the expressions is false, when this is false, or when this is false, or when both of them are false, the entire expression, when both of them are false, the entire expression becomes false. The only time the entire expression becomes true is when both of them are true. 4 is less than 6. That's true. 4 is less than 6. 5 is equal to 6. We are using the equal sign here to compare what's on the right to what's on the left. One equal sign will assign what's on the right to what's on the left. But in this case, you can't even do that. All right, so just be careful. We're just comparing here. 4 less than 6 is true. 5 is equal to 6 is false. With the AND logical operator, if any of the expressions is false, the entire expression becomes false. So because this is false, then this entire expression becomes false. Now you're dealing with false result here, or 2 greater than 3. So let's see. We know the OR logical operator, if any of the expressions is true, whether this one or this entire one or both of them are true, the entire expression becomes true. But the only time the entire expression becomes false is when both of them are false. So let's see, 2 greater than 3. We know that 2 is not greater than 3, so this is false. And we kind of concluded that this was, I kind of forgot, so let's do it again. So we know this is false, right? False, note that this is false. Let's do this again. 4 less than 6 is true. 5 is equal to 6 is false. Because this is false, the entire expression becomes false. So this is false, and 2 is not greater than 3, that's also false. And with the OR logical operator, if you have at least one true, the entire expression becomes true. The only time the entire expression becomes false is when both of them are false. So in this case, this is false, this entire expression is false, so false will be stored in the result. So when we compile it and we run, we should expect false over here. We can see it right here. Okay. All right, I feel this is going, kind of well. The other videos I've been too excited and I kind of go fast and, and talk a bit fast. But hey, it's all right. All right, so I hope you get the logic over there. So because the AND operator is evaluated first, because it has high precedence, this is the same as surrounding the entire expression also with parentheses. Now remember, these two parentheses are just for this expression. These two parentheses are just for this expression. Because this entire expression gets evaluated first, it's also the same as surrounding the entire expression with parentheses. So now the outer parentheses is surrounding this entire expression here, because that is what is evaluated first. This is the same as when you leave it without parentheses, right? It's the same as when you leave it without parentheses this way and just surround the individual expressions with parentheses. When you do that, still because the AND operator has high precedence, this will be evaluated first. But to keep things organized, I'm going to surround it with parentheses, right? This is the same as not surrounding it with parentheses and just leaving the parentheses on the individual expressions. But in this case, I'm going to do that. I'm going to surround the entire expression with parentheses. It's the same thing. You can do that just to keep things organized. If you want the entire expression here to be run, if you don't put it there yourself, it's still going to. If you don't put this there, it's still going to evaluate this expression first because the AND logical operator has high precedence, right? All right, so What else? I think that's it for this video. It's talked about the logical operator precedence quite a bit. So if you have any questions, please comment down below, and I'll do everything to respond to them, as always. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Have a good day. Have a good night. Have a nice time. Have a nice sleep. And I'll see you next time with the next video. All right then. Bye-bye.